This is Suit Up Sports. Suit Up Sports. Where opinions are as sharp as a tailored suit. No fluff, no gimmicks, just unfiltered, hard-hitting takes on sports and a whole lot more. It's time to suit up. Now here's your host, DJ the Suit Stout.
Welcome to Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout, along with 10-year NFL vet Frank Garcia, 11-year vet, 12-year vet Branson Buckner,
12,
and 30-year radio vet
Mark
year vet in the NFL.
It's always a competition with Buck. He's always trying to make it a competition.
24-year vet because I throw the coach in there.
That's right.
and I don't think it's a coincidence that Frank and Buck had me sitting between them, and I'm trying to think, did I do anything wrong to them back in the day? And y'all are sucking.
The problem is you're white and you look like the line of scrimmage. So
no, the problem is
sexy line of scrimmage.
Frank got on that South Carolina shirt.
I got to keep y'all
He
separated.
would have never wore it if I wouldn't come into this show. He did it on purpose.
You know what? I completely forgot you went to Clemson, but now I'm glad I wore it.
Well, you know what shirt he wears all the time now too, which you actually like this, but now he's a big Steeler fan all of a sudden.
Yeah,
there you
so
go.
He wears Steeler shirts all the time too, so you would at least like that. We're coming to you live today from Mother's in the Park Road Shopping Center. If you haven't been here before, I know you've heard Frank and I talk about it. Unbelievable menu, tons of items, breakfast all day and night if you want it, steaks, burgers, pasta, ice cream bar for the kids,
and you know
dog
what make this
friendly.
you know what makes this so cool, DJ, is this outside area that they have over here. So on the weekends or even the weekdays, if you're looking to walk your dog or something, they have a dog menu here on the on the main menu as well. And they're also huge in the community. They just teamed up with us over at Charlotte Catholic.
Yep.
And, just doing a lot of great things around the community, especially for high school kids. And, a lot of the young kids, like you said, the ice cream bar parlor over there is incredible. And the food here is amazing. And don't forget to try the mimosas.
That's a man-mosa.
A man-mosa.
That's a man-mosa. And Frank just mentioned this, but if you are watching or listening, they are very charitable and they look to get involved with schools, whether it be, discounts, team meals, tailgates. They give out free this and that cards. So they love getting involved with the schools, whether it be elementary, junior high, high school. So if you are listening and you're part of a high school, even colleges, get in touch with us, send us an email, and they say yes to everything, man. They love getting involved in the community.
Oh, not everything.
Well, in the charitable.
We try to keep it charitable, but they are also in the business of making money.
Well, no doubt. Well, let's start off today, and I'm happy that I got two former NFL guys, and then Mark, who follows sports as well as anybody I know.
Even if he is a Redskins fan.
He's quasi-Redskins.
Yeah, I dropped out.
Kind of dropped out.
About dropping back in, but the way things are going this year, I'm probably going to wait next year to drop back in.
You're going to wait until Jaden Daniels is healthy.
Yeah, things aren't going well this year.
But Panthers, and Buck just was giving us some crap because we only have them on when the Panthers lose. So for a while there, you could have been on every week.
Yes.
Now they're on a 3-game winning streak.
Yes.
They got probably the biggest game they've had at this stadium in 4 or 5 years with the Bills coming to town. Josh Allen is undefeated after a bye. Bills, of course, coming off a bye, 2 straight losses as well. Panthers undefeated at home. Buck, what have you seen in the last 3 games that you really put your finger on and say this or that is why we've really seen this team start to gel?
Controlling the line of scrimmage, running the ball on offense, so you minimize the time the other team has the ball, and you break defensive player wheels, and you're playing good up front. A lot of the young outside linebackers that struggled earlier, they're starting to make plays now. And I think the thing that the Panthers did was good. It's like, we're going to put these young guys on the field, and we're going to let them live through their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
They're good enough to make some plays. They're going to make some mistakes, but they're getting better week after week. But really controlling the line of scrimmage. That run game is a double-headed monster now.
Yep.
that you got both running backs back, and they stay with it. They might get a tackle for a loss or no gain. But at the end of the game, and Frank can attest to this, that's end of the third and fourth quarter, those 2-yard runs are turning into 10-yard runs. Because as a defensive player, you get tired of sticking your face in the fan. You know what I mean? You get tired of walking into those punches. And Carolina Panthers' number 1 run is the double-double, where they're getting 3 doubles on there. And as a defensive lineman, I don't care who you are, you don't want to get double teamed.
Yeah.
You get tired, and the guys start to get out of their gaps. They start to ooze up a little bit. And when Dardell and them get on those linebackers, they are punishing them. But one thing, too, I got to give credit to is Leggett has really turned into a clutch wide receiver.
He has last 2 games,
and
for sure.
the thing that I like about it, we gave him hell.
Yep.
Everybody in the community gave him hell. He stayed with it, and he's starting to show now. All kernels don't pop at the same time.
Right.
His took a little bit longer to pop, and now it's starting to give you two big weapons out there for your quarterback.
Yeah, production always isn't in with just catching passes.
Yes.
It's with the run blocks and the little things that players do to help that running game like you're talking about. I remember Musin, you played with him, so did I, and we watched training tape on him, Buck, of him blocking down, cracking down, getting the safeties, been on a linebacker as a bigger body guy, and springing guys like Jonathan Stewart or D'Angelo Williams or Stephen Davis when he was, when you guys were going to Super Bowls, and he was a big part of that running game.
Yes.
You could motion him. He was kind of a version between a wide receiver and an H-back.
Yes.
Right. He was kind of like a tweener between those two guys because he was so physical at the line of scrimmage. And I think kind of Leggett, that's where he's really stepped up and has given them some opportunities in the run game because they're running behind those doubles, and those linebackers aren't able to have free shots at them because they got a big 230-pound, guy, man on them.
Explain to everybody when you say the double-doubles, explain to that what you mean by that.
So, teams are looking to, offensive players are looking, or offensive coaches are looking to try to figure out double teams, and whether it's motions or play scheme that you're looking for, there's certain guys you can double, right? And let's say you have a 3 technique, which is outside shade of the guard, and you have a guard and a tackle, you have a double team, and you have a guard pulling up, and we call it duo, right?
Yes.
Or it's that backside guard pull. It's a power play that you're just hammering that line of scrimmage. And over time, those body blows start collecting and adding up, and you get in the later rounds. That's why you see guys break through. But if you're going to run those plays and you're going to double that down guy, a lot of times those backers are, going to be a little bit freer because you're really concentrating on the double. But those other players are going to have to come in and make amends for that with the wide receivers or the tight ends. And but that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those double teams to push, get some movement on that down player, and at least get a little north-south so you can make those cuts.
And Buck, when you were a defensive coordinator in the NFL as well as a player, but when you were a coach, if a team was doing that against you, what did you do to try to offset it? Is there a lot you can do schematically, or is it just
schematically? You try to take away the angles off of them. You try to load the box so that if the double stay on too long, you get a free linebacker running through. So it's different things you can do, but at the end of the day, it's a test of wills. Because if that D lineman just for one instant say, man, I don't want to hold this double too much, he normally gets knocked out of his gap. So 3 technique, he gets double out of the B gap. The guard can turn off. Now the offensive tackle can run up to the linebacker. So now you just negated one of your tacklers in the box, and now you got to bring your defensive backs into play. And let's be honest right now. This is a 7-on-7 society. Most cornerbacks and some safeties don't want to fill in the B gaps. They want to stay to the edge. And so now by doubling everybody inside, and we just talked about Leggett being a big 230-pound wide receiver, he's coming down cracking the linebacker. It's giving you an extra blocker in the box. You forget about the perimeter, and what you got to do as a defensive coordinator, we just try to say, steal a rep. Maybe we bring this corner on the blitz to try to get a tackle for a loss before the running back get his feet going, or you bring your safety in the box. But what Carolina has going for them now, you got a big wide receiver out there that can catch these passes. And one of my favorite players in all the NFL, Lil Horn, who is just electric with the ball in the hand. Now it started to open the passing game, what helps your quarterback. So it's as a defensive coordinator, at the end of the day, you can do something to help, but you're gonna be weak somewhere else.
Yep.
Yeah, there's two types of offenses, guys. It's the type of offense that you run the ball to pass the ball. Right, and that's what the Panthers are. They're a run the ball first to pass the ball, using the play action, using the misdirection, using the reverses and things of that nature. And then there's the teams that pass the ball, right, and they spread you out and then they run the ball. The Panthers are a run the ball to pass the ball team. And because of that, their formations are going to be big, heavy guys in the box to try to combat what Buck's saying when you're trying to spill. And that's different than what a lot of teams are doing. I mean, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they can play any style of game. They have big bodies up front, so they can spread you out and still win one-on-one. But not everybody's built that way. Right. And you look at offenses in the NFL, everybody has become a spread, and you're trying to get people on the edge. You're trying to clean out boxes, and you're trying to get guys from stacking that so that they can run the ball. And the Panthers have really done a good job of saying, hey, listen, we're going to be different than everybody else. We're going to run behind these double teams. We're going to use our big bodies in space to crack those backers, to get on those safeties and be able to match up with them. And you have two downhill running backs. And I think that's been the biggest difference for the Panthers. As a guy like Dowdle, he has that north-south vision, right?
Yes.
He understands, if you're going to double team and that read is that backer, if he flows, you cut. If he fills, you flow, right? It's those two types of things, and that's what you're looking for. Emmitt Smith was one of the best in the game doing that. Versus Chuba, who's more of a stretch kind of player. That's going to look to like a TD, Terrell Davis. He's going to stretch the field, looking for those seams, and then be able to read the defense that way. So I think that's been the biggest difference for the Panthers. On top of my biggest difference is the way the defensive line is stopping the run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Derek Brown is manhandling guys right now. Mano a mano, double teams. He's splitting them. He's grabbing grass and getting skinny and getting upfield. And if you try to isolate him one-on-one, he's making guards look like they're little boys out there and picking them up and throwing around, kind of like Buck used to do to the centers when he played. But he's been the biggest difference, and I think that's on the defensive side. I don't know where they rank, but they got to be top 5 stopping the run.
Yeah, they're 8th in the NFL.
For me, the biggest takeaway I've had in this good stretch of football for them is, I think for the first time in a long time, this team has an identity finally.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the last several years, you couldn't tell me, nobody knew what the identity of this football team. Dave Canales comes in there. He talked about wanting to be a running football team, but that wasn't always been the case. It feels like now they have that identity. As Frank said, they're running to throw. If you're a fan and you're wanting Bryce Young to go out there every week and throw for 300 yards, throw 3 touchdowns, that's not a formula for this football team to win.
Right.
If he's having to throw a lot of passes, that's probably not a good thing. You saw that out in Arizona when he had to throw 40, 50 passes and they had to come back and try to win that game. That's not how this football team is going to win football games. The way they're going to win football games, maybe not as ugly as last week's win over the Jets, but the game against the Falcons, the game against the Dolphins. That's how this football team is going to be successful, running the football, stopping the run on the other side. It's an old cliche, but it still works. Even in a passing league, if you stop the run and you can run, you got a pretty good chance to win.
And Buffalo is last in the league.
When you play. It also helps when you're playing the Jets and the Falcons and the Dolphins.
well, Falcons actually look pretty good.
I don't know what to make of the Falcons.
They look pretty good, but I'll tell you, the Bills are last in the league against the run.
Yes.
And so whether Bryce Young plays or not, which he's been at practice the last 2 days, he's at practice today. He's not limping. He seems like he looks, that he could play, and I know he wants to play. We'll see what shakes down with that. But regardless of who's the quarterback, you got to think that they're going to run the ball a lot. One of the questions I want to ask you guys, and Mark and I talked about this on Monday, is the two-headed monster that you alluded to with Chuba and with Dowdle. Dowdle ran the ball, I think, 17 times last week. I think Chuba had 13 carries. Dowdle averaged around 5.6 a carry. Chuba, I think, 3.3. In my opinion, Dowdle has shown in the last 3 games that he's a running back that gets better as he goes, gets stronger as he goes. And 17 carries, not that that's a minimal amount of carries, but I think for them to win this game, he's going to have to be up around that 25 spot.
Who, Dowdle himself?
Dowdle
or
himself.
Just the running game?
No, Dowdle, because I think that the way he runs the ball, I think, and Chuba's still going to get his 10 or 12 carries, but I think they've got to give Dowdle, instead of rotating him in every 2 series or whatever they were doing. I mean, at one point in the Jets game, I thought they were just saving him for the second half because, it seemed like Chuba was in quite a bit. But it ended up being, I guess, a close to even rotation. I think Dowdle needs to be the guy that they give 20, 25 carries to this week if they're going to win this game, regardless of who's quarterback.
Well, DJ, there's no secret to success, and there's no special formula, right? And Buck will tell you, as a coach and a player, the teams that run the ball and stop the run are going to win a lot of these games, and that's the measure. Mark mentioned it about a guy with Bryce Young throwing it for 35, 40 times. Even when we had arguably one of the best teams the Panthers have ever had in 2015 with Cam Newton, there was a magic number that he hit, and it was with passes. And there was also a magic number that this team hit with runs. And then the stats will pan out, and the numbers, and I've told you this before, will pan out as well. And over time, this is going to be the stats that win games: running the football, stopping the run, turnovers, field possession, right? And ball control, right? Those things are all going to help you determine who wins the game. And for the Panthers, their magic number, and any team's magic number, is running the ball 30 plus times, and throwing the ball less than that, obviously, because you don't want your quarterback to have to bear that load unless you have a guy like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady that's going to spread guys out and be able to pick guys apart, which is not Bryce Young. It was not Cam Newton. You want a guy that's going to be able to line up, hand the ball off, manage the game, not make mistakes, and make plays when they're presented on 3rd and medium, 3rd and plus. So that's 22 to 23 passes a game. You might have to be in a 3rd and long situation, but if you're able to run the ball, you're able to move the ball and stay on pace, 2nd and short, or 2nd and medium, 3rd and short, you're able to open up your game. So first down is going to be a big factor for the Panthers moving forward. Dowdle, I think, is the guy that is going to be more of the hammer when it needs to 3rd and 2 and you want to run the ball, or maybe even that first down back. And, Chuba's going to be a guy that if you want to throw something in there where he's going to get some speed, he's going to catch his screen, he's going to be able to use his vision, he can block very well, and then he can get out in space and catch the ball and become a mismatch, very similar to what Christian McCaffrey does for the Niners, one-on-one with the backer where he runs that Texas route. He can shake him down, get open, and is on the same page with a guy like Bryce Young. But those are the things that the Panthers are going to have to do. But I agree with you. Dowdle right now is the hot hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
top 3 running back in the league the last 3 games.
As a player, I know, but all we want to do is win.
Yeah, that's all we want to
I don't
do.
I don't care what your name is
or what your salary is.
Or what your salary
Put the
is.
best player out there.
Put the guy who's winning and making plays.
But Frank, let me ask you, as the offensive lineman here, the 2 running back system, and we saw last week with the rotating of series. Is that disconcerting for you as a lineman to have 2 different guys?
Not necessarily. It's not like a quarterback. It's not like a quarterback, Mark. I mean, the difference would be is the type of runs, and there's a timing that we develop because as offensive lineman, my back is to the running back. I'm reading what the defense is doing, just like the defense is looking at the backfield, but they're reading the lineman really. They're not looking at anything else other than what the lineman's doing. They're basing their technique on what looks they get. You get a double team, you play a certain way. You get a guard pull, you play a certain way. You get a down block, you play a certain way. For me as a lineman, right, I have a timing. I know when Dowdle's running, 1, 2, 3, I'm drive blocking this guy and he's going to cut back. So at the same time, it's instinctual because there's a chemistry that has been established there. I'm going to turn a guy this way, or a double team. I know this guy flows. I can really accentuate on the drive, and I know he's going to cut back. Where Chuba, as an offensive lineman, he may be more beneficial to a guy like me because I'm not a big body guy that's going to be able to move guys on double teams. I'm going to be able to I'm more of a guy built to run on edge and get a quick jump on somebody or turn on somebody to split the defense. So I think a lot of it has to do with just the way the line is built and they've been established. This is a big body offensive line. They're going to be a power Dallas Cowboy, come down the hill with those double teams and run the ball versus a team like the Denver Broncos or the Indianapolis Colts who have quick, fast linemen who are going to get on edges and use a guy like Chuba's his skill set a little bit more. So I think Dowdle matches up better with this offensive line than Chuba does. And for me, I hopefully we're calling those plays when he's in there. And I know if Chuba's in there, we're going to try to get on the edge.
But let me ask you this. We mentioned that, Bryce Young's still a question, right? We don't know if he's going to play or not. Does the game plan change at all, regardless of who's quarterback? I mean, obviously, we've talked about they're going to run the ball. Buffalo is second in the league versus the pass, so they do have a good secondary. But what changes between Dalton and Bryce at quarterback, if anything?
I don't think nothing changes because, like I said, Young is not he's not a Michael Vick where you got to get stuff with the zone reading. They're both the same quarterback. They're just different skin colors, and one older, one younger.
One's a little taller.
They're based on your running game. And the thing about it with Dalton, which you might throw in a little bit more play action because he's a little bit more schooled at going downfield. He's seeing a lot of coverages. But Carolina Panthers matches up well with Buffalo Bills because Buffalo Bills are going to stay too high safety. That tells you to run the ball. Buffalo is smallest up front with Ed Oliver. He is a monster if you let him penetrate, but you running double, kick, whatever you want to call it. You getting a double team on him, you can negate him, and there's holes in a too high safety defense. You have to run them out of. Buffalo has Against Atlanta was averaging during their 10 yards of carry, and they stayed in 2 high safeties. What Carolina Panthers got to do is just stay patient with it. Stay patient with the run, like Frank just alluded to. Now you're 3rd and 1 or you're 3rd and 2, which you can say, well, we can run and get a yard and still go for it on 4th down. So the matchup is good. So it don't matter with the quarterback because this is a run offense. If you look at I'm about to get offensive line coach some credit, which I hardly ever do. Harold Goodwin, if you look at his track record, he's a Michigan grad, run the ball. He went to Pittsburgh, run the ball. When he came to Arizona, we had BA likes to throw the ball, but we was always top in running. You go to Tampa the year they won the Super Bowl, they were running down your throat. And John Fox used to say, it's not even about running, it's receive that you might run it with scary defenses.
Right.
And once you get a team that's going to stay in that 2 high safety, you just run them up out of it. If they don't run up out of it, you're going to have your chances. But now the one thing, Buffalo's good versus the pass because they can stay 2 high safety, but Buffalo is slow at the cornerback and they're small.
Yeah.
Your big wide receivers are a plus for you in this because those safeties are gonna get noses. I watched Buffalo. Buffalo try to scare you to throw the ball because they'll show you a one safety look, and then the safety at the snap, he runs back to their halves. And the teams that stay consistent with just running the ball because you want to keep the ball out of Josh. You want to play offense that helps your defense. Because one thing about Josh Allen, I coached against him in London a couple years ago, and we ran the ball. Josh he gets impatient. He's going to throw you 4 or 5 balls that you can catch. Yeah. Because he wants to try to win the game. Every throw, he's trying to win the game. And the more you limit his possessions, the more risk he takes. He's a gunslinger.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you can play defense with your offense by just controlling, because I like to say, get them into the scary minutes. Scary minutes are the 4th quarter where that defense line is huffing and puffing, and they know it's going to come, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Frank, did you ever have to use a silent count at home? Because I feel like that might be happening here Sunday with all the Bills fans that are going to be there.
We've played some games, with Dallas coming in, with Green Bay. I mean, the Pittsburgh, the teams that travel very well and are going to have fan bases everywhere. It's not necessarily we have to use silent count, but it makes it a little bit more difficult to do those things. And for the Panthers, I think that's been one of their biggest challenges is communication on the road because of lack of experience and maybe the youth that they have, especially at the wide receiver. Because Buck hit it right on the head, is that teams that are going to play cover 2, that too high, you got to run them out of that. And if you can run the ball, you can move the ball and be efficient. They're going to lean on their defensive line and their linebackers to make plays. And from 20 to 20, defenses are usually going to give you the 20 to 20. Yes. They're going to play a lot of cover 2 because they don't want to give up the big plays. Once you get into the red zone, now we're going to see who the men are.
Yeah.
Now that's where the game is played, in the red zone, 25 in. Can I run the ball when they stack the box?
Yes.
Because now it's mano-a-mano, and they're not going to be no longer playing that cover 2. They're going to man up, they're going to match up, and they're going to try to keep you out of the end zone because they can use the back of the end zone like another defender.
Yes.
And the field shrinks and things happen faster. So. Mark, I mean, that's where the teams are really, kind of going to, really see the impact of where the crowd is with those types of things, because the communication is key in those situations.
I want to ask you, I'll go back to Derek Brown for a second. Other than maybe reminding you of yourself watching him, is there somebody when you watch him that immediately you think that reminds me of you feeling like, because we do this all the time. Hey, who does so-and-so remind you of?
Yeah.
Who's Derek Brown remind you of?
Derek Brown, I told you when he was drafted, that was Fletcher Cox clone. And then they ran me off of WFNZ. I was on the Mac show, and people called me and told me I was stupid. I didn't know what I knew about defense. I'm like, damn, I thought I was a defensive line. I was kind of thought he is a big physical present. Yeah. And what I kept on telling people, Derek Brown came in the league very young. Mm-hmm. He didn't know what he didn't know. But you look at him now, he is physically impossible to block even on double teams. Mm-hmm. There was a play last week where they were doubling, and what he does now, he feels where the double coming from. So if I'm in a 2-eye and the double's coming from the inside, they're trying to run inside. So he got the feel now. As soon as that center leaves the line, he disengaged. And the one person I coached that looks like, that's what Vita Veda. When Vita Veda became Vita Veda, he began to fill those blocks because he know this double team is not going to stay double long enough. But when I feel it become a one-on-one, let me get off and make these plays. And the thing that people don't see with Derrick Brown that he don't get credit for, he's not just a big guy that play inside. He plays from A to C gap.
Yep.
I see him stretch out a sweep on an offensive tackle, press it, and still make the tackle in the backfield. That's stuff that's not coachable. As a coach, you're going to take the credit for it.
My boy Griggs over here is the Auburn grad, and, he's loving all this Derrick Brown talk. Buffalo, by the way, is the number one running offense in the league. A lot of that, obviously, they have James Cook, who's great, but also Josh Allen runs a lot, too.
The impact he has, like Buck said, slinging the ball everywhere, lining up and gun, getting rid of the ball, getting it out of his hand, and his ability to run after things break down.
He make you play 11 on 11 football.
That's right.
Because he's a Cam Newton clone.
Yeah.
Better passer.
But better passer who makes you have to play 11 on. It's going to be a time you're going to play 11 on 11 football. The thing about Buffalo, when you watch them, they got some tendencies that you know about. Anytime they in far gun, it's a threat for quarterback to keep the ball because it's him in the backside end one-on-one, which he thinks he's good enough to ride the ball in. They go to 12 personnel and if they got their pass catching tight end on the ball, it's a pass. Mm-hmm. If he's off the ball in U formation, it's some kind of play action. It's some kind of play action, run the ball with him coming out the back.
That's the other. You mentioned tight end Dawson Knox. I don't know what his status is for Sunday. I know he missed the Falcons game. We've seen this team, the Panthers, struggle covering tight ends in the past. That's a guy that would concern me
100%
watching him.
And Mark, and what you're talking about is, I think, and what Buck is saying, the tendencies are going to be there, right? There's no secret to success out there. They know what you're running. You know what you're running. The key comes down is to making plays, winning your one-on-one battles. You have a defensive end on the backside that has contained, and that quarterback in that far formation has a propensity to pull the ball. You got to win. You got to make a tackle, right? And that's what coordinators. That's what Bill Belichick was so good at. Was finding mismatches, putting big guys against little guys, fast guys against slow guys, strong guys against weak guys, right? And that's where that's the game of football right there in a nutshell, is that winning your one-on-one battles when they know what you're going to do, but I'm in a better position because I'm a big guy versus a slow guy, or a fast guy versus a slow guy, right? That's why Josh Allen, Michael Vick, these quarterbacks Cam Newton are so difficult to defend, is because you play a perfect defense. Everybody's where they're supposed to be, and he makes you miss, right? I mean,
I said Dawson Knox. I meant Dalton Kincaid. He's their lead tight end.
And the one thing that I've noticed the past couple of weeks is Everose. I think I'm saying it right now. Everose. His defensive play calling has been stellar. He's gotten people off balance. Well, he's got a lot of criticism that, you're too basic. He's shown out. I got stuff in there. I got bullets in the barrel
got some
now.
Players to do
I got some players to do it, because Frank could tell you as a coach, it's not what you know, it's what your players are capable of doing. You can come out there and be too smart and hurt your guys because you ask them to do something they can't do. Yep. But now he's getting comfortable with his young secondary making plays. He's doing stuff now. I got these young linebackers. I let them pin their ears back every now and blitz. We can cause some problems. So his play calling has really thrown offenses off balance because he's showing a side of himself he hasn't shown.
Let's talk about those linebackers for a minute, because before the season started, Frank and I are on record saying it's probably the worst linebacker room in the NFL. And after the first 2 or 3 games, we looked like we knew what we were talking about. We saw it 3 games ago when this win streak started. Roseboom decided he didn't want to be calling the plays on defense, and Wallace would rather do it, so they switched. What difference because it's made a difference. Look, like you said, a lot of it I think is experience. Wallace is starting to kind of get a feel for the game. Roseboom's now more comfortable not having to think and call the plays. What difference does that make on defense? Is it a big deal? I mean, Frank and I talked about this, that some players just don't want to think too much. They want to react.
They want to react. Defensive guys hate to think. That's why a guy like
that's
me.
What Frank says.
That's why a guy like me was so valuable to our young guys. Chris Jenkins didn't want to think.
They just want to react. They want to play.
All right, boom. I watch enough film. Hey, the ball going this way. Boom, boom. Jinx, you go. Pep, do this. Boom. I do the thinking for you.
Yeah.
When I was in Arizona coaching, Tyrann Mathieu didn't want to think. Patrick Peterson didn't want to think. So we had a guy like Rashad Johnson who might be a little bit slow, but he was super smart from Alabama. he took the thinking out of, hey, line up, they finna do this. Now y'all go play full speed.
Yeah.
And then we have a middle linebacker. The middle linebacker is like the quarterback of the defense. If he's standing in that huddle and he's calling the play and he's indecisive and he's got that look on the face, you don't want that guy standing in front of you.
Right.
That's why Dan Morgan was so good. When Dan got hurt, Will Witherspoon was so good because they stood in the huddle and they talked with authority. They said, hey, watch out for this, watch out for this. You know, as a defensive lineman, you're down in your stand, you're trusting that guy to be your eyes.
Yeah.
But if I got a guy who's calling it, he's indecisive. Then when he start Luke Kuechly, no, I don't even speak him. He's on the Mount Rushmore himself.
Yeah.
But if I'm down in my stands and my guy behind me closed right, he's very hesitant. I'm hesitant now because damn, he don't see it and he can see it. But if I got a guy close left, alert there, wide motion, now you play with more confidence. And I think that's what's going. But that's a testament to the coaches because some coaches will be stubborn. You get the green dot, you're gonna stay with the green dot.
Well, and you know what's going to be interesting, but what's going to be interesting to see in this game and moving forward, if the Panthers aren't having success running the football and the defense has to make a stop later in the game, because I think I'm not willing to really necessarily say the linebackers have just gotten that better. I think that does help for sure.
Yes.
And everything that Buck said with the communication part, because that's what we try to do in offense is get those guys thinking on defense, formation, moves, shifts. And that's what the intent is. All of those things. At the end of the day, everybody's going to say set hut. You have to be you have to be in a sitting position, and it's whether they can diagnose it quickly.
Yes.
And if you have a guy that's communicating those things
how much
effectively,
window dressing can you throw at the other team?
That's
make you
that's right. To make them think with those things, right, Mark? So, what's going to happen if this team isn't capable of running the ball down somebody's throat and the defense has to win a game? Is this defense able to win a game and go out there and get stops if the offense is sputtering?
Yes.
And I think, for a team like Buffalo, they're going to want to control the clock too.
Yes.
They're not going to sit there and say, we're going to just get out here and throw the ball they're going to want to sit there and keep the Panthers offense and their offense on, because that's what's going to win game. It's time of possession.
Yeah.
If the Panthers don't have time of possession, which they have in all of their last wins, they've controlled the clock, they've run the ball, and they've been able to win these games. But even the best running games sputter every now and then, right? And if you're going to be a good team or great team, you have to win those games when your buddy is struggling. I have to be able to say, okay, you're struggling today. I'm going to pick it up on this side, and the defense is going to have to carry this team. I'm wanting to see, now that they're playing an offense that's capable of doing all sorts of different things, playing 11-on-11 football, if those linebackers are going to get a little bit exposed, if they're going to be able to slow guys down. That's what I'm not willing to say that they've improved that much yet.
And I think it comes with the defensive coordinator, because Brady, the offensive coordinator at Buffalo, he does a lot of ID motion. And what he likes to do, he likes the motion to see what you're in, then he gets them in the perfect play. The times that they struggle up there is that, all right, we're showing you a too high shell, it was in zone. But as soon as they motion over, we go and play man. Never be in their last look. It's not the defense you ever going to be in.
Right.
You're going to change the look on them. And you see Josh struggle with that because Josh like to play fast. So the chess match is going to be between the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. Can I fool them enough to make them hesitate? But now, guys, you make a play for me.
Adjust to the adjustments.
Yeah. Make a play for me.
Now, Evero, throughout his career, whether it be with Denver and with the Panthers minus last year when he had no players, he's always done well against teams with running quarterbacks. We saw it this year where Kyler Murray minus 130-yard run didn't do anything. Last year, Kyler Murray. When you're playing defense and as a defensive coordinator, defensive coach, what do you do? I mean, I know some teams put in spies or whatever it is, but what do you do from a defensive standpoint to try to keep Josh Allen in check from a running standpoint?
You take the ball out of his hand on those zone reads. We would always put in not blitzes, but we just call them smoke blitzes, where we bring a guy, but we drop a guy just in case. But one guy's taking the dive and one guy's going to the quarterback. You make him hand the ball off. When you get in true passing downs, I don't want to give him a two-way go where he can drop back. It's open. If it's not open, we encourage take off. You see it against Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson faced more six-man blitzes on third down because they want the ball to get out of his hand.
Yeah.
If he don't throw it fast, we got enough guys that tackle him.
Yeah.
And that's what you do to Josh. But one thing you have to do to Josh, and I tell people this all the time that call me, on third down, make him roll to his left.
Yep.
His passing percentage goes down by 30%.
Most quarterbacks are going to be like that.
Going to his left.
Most
now, if you
right-handed
let him
quarterbacks.
go to his right, kiss the baby.
Yeah.
It's
trouble.
Because now he can run. He more comfortable running the ball. But if you force him to his left, he's gonna tuck it and run out of the ball, or he's gonna try to throw across his body, and that's where his interceptions come. But don't get him comfortable. Don't spy him, because normally the guys you spying with, if he's fast enough to get to him, he ain't big enough to bring him down.
Right.
If he's big enough to break him down, he ain't fast enough to get to him.
Yeah.
So you got to rush him, and you got to understand where he likes to come out the pocket. He like to escape through the B gap, keep the whole field open so he can throw it left or right, or keep himself going.
I'm going to jump off topic real quick because Buck just mentioned something.
I know you took my word. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Frank had a question last week.
I had a debate. We were in a debate.
Yeah.
And the debate.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Shocker.
It was one of our friends, and he was talking about Lamar Jackson, is transition. I said Lamar Jackson's a good player, but he ain't no Michael Vick.
No.
Right? Michael Vick to me was the most explosive player to ever play that position. He gave coordinators nightmares. And I think this younger generation, we put this poll up on Facebook. We did a lot of, questioning the younger. It's like LeBron Jordan, right? Who's the greatest? Who is the better of the two pocket passers? And if you had a draft today,
is that a debate, Bowen?
Yeah. Who's the guy would you take? And I know, Buck, you played against Vic, and I already know who you're going to take because you and I think very similarly with the way that we view this game. But people look at stats, they look at passing, they look at those things, and don't understand the generations of. There was no such thing as read option when Vic played. No. Teams were not trying to put him into making him a pocket passer, right? They were saying that if you could just keep him in the pocket, then you can beat Michael Vick because he's going. We have to make him a pocket. There's so much offense now that there is a completely different style in which the game is played.
Yeah, there's definitely a totally different style. Back when Michael Vick came in, you played quarterback and you run. It wasn't no. Thank God it wasn't no pure quarterback runs. It wasn't quarterback sweeps and all these zone reads. He invented that on the run. He invented that on the run. And third down, he was a magician because he used to take a punt drop. Meaning he wasn't a 7-step drop. He was back 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. And as you rushed him, your lanes got wider, and he was fast enough to get through the lanes and run. And I tell people all the time, I would not want to play in the league with a Michael Vick at quarterback and you had quarterback runs. He had a designated 15 runs that he could keep. It would have been unfair. I tell you this, for 3 years, Michael Vick determined who we was drafting in the first round of the draft. We had to get Pelt, somebody big enough and fast enough to have. We went and got Thomas Davis. We signed Mark Fields. We got Will Witherspoon, who's a 215-pound linebacker, but he can run a 4.4. Dan Morgan. Everything was centered around one darn guy.
Right.
And then we still had hard times.
That's right.
Well, it's funny, the poll and all the debate we've had, that argument really has gone through how old are you?
Yeah.
The older folks like us all were like, Michael Vick, whatever, whereas the younger generation says Lamar Jackson. A lot of it's because they didn't see Michael Vick.
Yes.
They've seen Lamar Jackson, who's been as dynamic as, as anybody. I'm on the fence with it. There's times Frank will almost talk me into Vick, and there's times where I lean towards Lamar because Frank made a good point. The refereeing was different back then too. You couldn't throw over the middle like you can now. They protect everybody now. We're back when Michael played. You didn't throw it over me. You kill your receivers.
Well, it was built. The rules right now are built for guys like Lamar to become superstars.
Yep.
When Michael Vick was in the pocket, the first thing you said, hit him in the leg.
Yep.
You can't
take him out.
Now.
We had bounties on quarterbacks back when we played.
Me and Michael Vick had the same agent, and we would talk before the game. I was like, I'm putting money on you. I don't want to chase you the whole night. You know what I mean? We want to get you down on the ground. So Vic didn't play in a protected league. This league now is all about selling tickets, about offense. Just put in the league where you couldn't hit Michael Vick high. You couldn't hit him in the head. Back then you hit him wherever you hit him to get him on the ground, because you knew at the end of the game he was going to get frustrated.
And looky here, the person I was having the argument with just showed up.
These protected rules, it wouldn't even be fair. And that's not to take nothing from Lamar. Lamar is Lamar. Lamar is a great talent.
Yeah.
But it's in a different lane. It's just like these wide receivers. Yeah, they're great. But like Mike Irvin said, I played in a league where they knocked you out when you came across the middle.
No question.
You got headhunted. Linebackers, when they let you cross the middle on crosses, they hit you where you had the ball now. Now, I got to let the guy catch the ball, make a football move, then tackle.
Put him down on a pillow.
Yeah, put him down.
Lay him to bed.
Rock
the baby. Rock the baby.
Before I put him down. So it's a totally different league. It's like comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah.
But Michael Vick was he was an alien.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
He was something you never seen.
We're coming to you live from Mother's today. You can see Big D just brought us a nice little spread of food. I see some chicken and waffles, some steak nachos. I don't even know what that looks like. A big burger.
It's a burger with some Parmesan.
I'm sure Frank won't be talking as much now because he'll be eating.
I mean, this looks amazing.
It does. Their food's phenomenal.
Look great.
We'll do our picks on the Panther game towards the end of the show. Let's flip over to college a little bit because I know, Buck, you follow college as well as anybody.
Yes.
There's the slate this weekend isn't as good as it was last weekend, but let's start off with a few games that I'm interested in. Ole Miss going to Oklahoma. Ole Miss gave Georgia all they could handle at Georgia last week, fell a little short. Oklahoma goes on the road, gets a big win at South Carolina, and South Carolina, Frank's team, struggling. But Lane Kiffin, rumors about going to Florida. You know they're going to score points. Oklahoma's defense has been really strong. Their quarterback seems healthy now. Who do you like in that game?
I like Ole Miss because one thing Lane Kiffin brought up this week is that Oklahoma looks good on defense because it looks like they got the art of stealing signals down.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oklahoma struggled on defense last year. Can we all agree?
They did.
Wesley Goodwin leaves Clemson to go to Oklahoma to be a J. Now all of a sudden, Venables look like he like Buddy Ryan all of a sudden. Guess why? Because Wesley Goodwin is a football savant where he'll sit in there and watch 8 games and he'll know every signal, he'll know every formation you got, and he'll tell you, hey, Brent, when they go in motion and he looks this way, they're throwing the ball left or right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what I like Lane Kiffin because Lane Kiffin played mind games. He threw that out in the media. Venables gonna be like, oh darn, they looking at us. He gonna make them play a little scared.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Ole Miss. I like what he does with his offense. I love the way their quarterback is playing right now. So make a long story short,
does teams change when you think? Do you change your calls every game to try to keep other teams from picking them up? Or
no, I mean, there's going to be some false calls. I mean, like I said, the defensive guys aren't that smart. So if I say deuce, 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 and I've been saying it all game, and we're running a double team, I got to use dummy calls to go out there and call a deuce if we're going to trap this guy, right? He's going to fall on his face. He's expecting a double team, and that's where, it's the game within the game. It's the thing that, Buck and I and a lot of these other coaches, we're sitting there. But we can't coach you to be a great football player. We can put you in, but those are the things that you have to learn within the game as you play the game, and that's what experience gives you. Is that those opportunities to go out there and do that. Yeah, so it's not like baseball where we're completely changing our signals or anything like that. We're still calling it what it is. It's just when are we using it, and is it going to be effective? To the defensive players.
Let's go to another game that I'm excited about.
Well, hold on. We talk about Oklahoma. I saw this stat. I thought this was interesting. We talk about like quarterback U all the time. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma, I believe, has 5 or 6 starters in the NFL right now. Yeah. You know that? They have the most quarterback starting of quarterback starting of any team in the NFL.
Crazy.
Look at the guys they have.
Gabriel,
Murray.
Who else? Come on, Mark. I know you.
Williams from Chicago.
Williams.
He played there.
Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
And there was one other one that's on that list. So
and Mateer's a very good quarterback. I mean,
these guys are all players. I mean, Caleb Williams is going to be a damn stud. So I mean, he is a stud. He's only second year, but.
Let's go to Missouri at Vandy. And Mark and I talked about Vandy and what they've got going on there right now. Their quarterback has got as much swag as anybody in the country. Their defense is scrappy. I know, Frank, you've been on them all year long. Not that going to Vandy is a huge home field advantage, but their fans are as fired up now as they've ever been. And let's start with you, Mark, because we talked about them quite a bit. Missouri, only their second road game of the year. They seem to squeeze by every game. They squeezed by at home against South Carolina. They squeezed by last week.
Drinkwitz thought they'd won the game last week,
which was
hilarious.
Realized
the field goal wasn't any good. So
that was hilarious. They ended up winning in overtime. But who do you like in that game, Mark?
I'm not going to bet against Diego Pavia at this point, man. He's got it. Frank and Buck, DJ and I talked about this Monday. He's got it, man. You just watch him play. You talk about a team feeding off their guy. They feed off this dude.
Yes.
He doesn't care who he's playing. he doesn't think he's better than you. He knows he's better than you, and that's a dangerous thing when you got a guy.
Johnny Manziel.
That's exactly who I brought up the other day. He reminds
Johnny
me
Manziel.
of Johnny Manziel. He doesn't care. Is he going to make a throw maybe that he should make? Of course, but he's going to forget it right quick.
Yep.
So they've got game day there tomorrow. It's going to be nuts. I'm not betting against Vanderbilt.
He's become a guy that, like, when I'm looking at what games I'm going to watch and which one I'm going to have on what TV, if he's playing, he's on one of the main TVs. Like, he's instant, entertainment.
Like I say all the time, the most physical doctors, future doctors in the world are at Vanderbilt right now. That might be the most physical surgery you ever have in your life. About 2 years from one of the Vanderbilt football players.
You don't want to get a physical from one of those guys?
No, but they got a mindset right now. Now, Missouri, this might be the best front seven he's faced, because you watch those guys play, and I call them the single-digit warriors. Everybody on Missouri defense with a single digit will knock your head off, and they will let you know.
Yeah.
Did you see the coin toss against Auburn last week? That was the most physical coin toss I've ever seen in my life. And those guys, they play with a little swag, but if you look at and we say this all the time, winning builds a belief. That coach has come down, he put a physical mindset, and he's told them, look, y'all Vanderbilt people have overlooked y'all for years. Y'all just a blimp on the schedule. It's a practice game, and they starting to believe. And you get a trigger man, a quarterback that walks on the field and believes he's the best player on that field, you're going to ride behind him, because the offensive line going to die before they let you touch him.
Yeah.
Guys are going to make plays for you.
He's the epitome of what you talk about when you say leave it on the field.
Yes.
Right? He's the type of players you want, because he's getting every ounce of athleticism out of his body in the way that he plays. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's shit, right? Whatever, right? But that's the way it works sometimes. But
Clark Lee knows that. He'll take that. Hey,
I want guys like that. I want 22 guys just like that. That we're gonna roll. We're gonna let our bullets fly. I'm not gonna have anything left in my gun, and we're gonna leave it out here, on the field. You know what? I want this last weekend, DJ, on a trip, and I want to ask this question to all you guys, because we had this great, I think it was a good conversation about, we're talking about these new teams coming up. A guy like Signetti, and I'm sure we're going to talk about them. With Vanderbilt, the reason why this is coming to my mind is because he was a guy that I thought that is really a younger guy that has the ear of his players in today's NIL and the way things are going. But if you were going to give $100 million, to a guy today, a coach, right? Which coach are you going to pick? Because Signetti just got this new contract,
$92 million, right?
Yeah,
$92 million.
So we'll just round it up.
You really got to get that coaching, Buck. So much money.
If we're going to give a coach $100, who's the coach you're taking that you're going to? Because there's some older guys, like, say, if you're going to start a new program, who's the coach you're giving $100 million to? Because he was one of the guys that I had about 4 or 5 that I'd said are worth that type of contract, and I think he's one of them.
He'd be one
for me. A key at Georgia Tech.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say.
At Georgia, you look at that mindset. When your quarterback is the most physical player on your team, your quarterback now is the most, and everybody. And the thing I like about him, you like this, Frank. I think 9 to 10 coaches on the team all got offensive line backgrounds. That's their mindset. It's like we don't play around. It's not take it easy on this guy. I want you with an offensive line mindset, because offensive line and defensive line, the only 2 positions that are guaranteed to get hit every play. Yep. And so they play the quarterback.
They play through the owies and the little hurts that you get in football.
They play all the way through it.
Unselfish.
Brett Keys, right? Is his name? I would give him money, because he built that program from out of school where you got to darn near ace the ACT and graduate magna cum laude to go there. You know what I mean? He's taking future rocket builders and engineers of America, and they're playing physical football. They're not blowing you out. I watched them take my alma mater and drag them into deep water and just punch them to sleep in the fourth quarter.
That's what I was going to ask you. Talking about Clemson, which Buck was on earlier, like maybe 3-4 weeks ago when Mark was in, and I told Buck that I didn't think Clemson was even going to make a bowl game this year. And right now, I'm looking pretty smart.
Yeah.
But we talked about Dabo before the show. If Dabo were to leave or get fired after the season, would that be the guy you'd want to come to Clemson, or is there somebody you think he's ready for that?
I think he's ready, because I think he has a culture. I think if anybody comes to Clemson, you got to have a perceived coach and a brand of football you're going to come in, you're going to establish. And then I was talking to Mark Yarves about this, and I was like, Clemson always had a culture. Now, the teams weren't always good, but you knew you was in a dogfight. They're going to be physical on the defensive line. They're going to have some running backs that can run the ball. Now, you give them a good quarterback and some wide receivers, you mess around winning a national title here and there. Right now, Clemson don't have a culture. They don't have a culture. So if Dabo leaves, you got to bring somebody that's going to establish a brand of football at Clemson that can stand the test of time.
Well, Buck, and that's what's crazy. You talk about Dabo. He's a guy that's making $10 million a year or something like that.
11.5 to be exact.
And he's done an incredible job at Clemson.
Yes,
no doubt about it. He's built the facilities. He's built a culture. They have an identity. People want to go play at Clemson if you're in the area.
Yeah.
Right? He's turned an ACC school into an SEC powerhouse.
Yeah.
The problem I have with Dabo right now is that, as we evolve, as the game evolves, you have to evolve with it. If you aren't able to evolve with the changes and the dynamics that are evolving, then you're going to get left behind.
Yes.
It's just like you're either getting better or you're getting worse. There's no staying the same. Dabo stayed the same this year.
And to me, staying the same is a form of quitting.
Yep.
To me, it's easy to stay the same. I'm going to do it uncomfortably. You got to get outside your comfort zone, because we use this example talking off the air. When Nick Saban wanted them to ban no-huddle offense, I'm talking about, he went on TV. I think it's wrong. People are getting hurt left and right.
Can't get the defense out on time.
And the NCAA said, no, we're not going to change. What did Nick Saban do? I'm finna to join. I'm finna become the best no-huddle offense.
Yep.
And I'm going to win 3 more national titles.
Yep.
Dabo has, and I think Dabo's a great guy. I've grown to love him and like him because he's a good man.
Yep.
But sometimes pride comes before the fall. You got to be willing to change, and you need to change, and you got to get out. That's what Nick Saban said. I was not going to continue to pay backups this money because I'm up next, not give me a raise.
Yep.
He's like, I'd rather get out and just let the game go. I don't want to be a part of that game. And if you're not going to change and you don't want to be a part, you got to step away.
And it feels like they weren't ahead of the curve when it came to NIL, when it came to the portal. And then, as I told you earlier, but it almost like Dabo became defiant. Like, you're going to tell me how to run my program? I've won championships here. I've won all these games.
Yep.
I don't have to change for anybody. And it's caught up to him.
Yep.
Yes.
And this is where we are now.
If you're sitting there waiting for an 18-year-old to mature, and everybody's going there getting 21-year-olds that already know how to be in college, know how to come to practice, already know what they want, and they're going to make my young guys adjust fast because, I was a 5-star coming to high school, but he just got a guy 22 years old that's playing my position. I got to go hunt him down. But if you just got a room full of high school kids, and this guy's like, well, Peter Wills ain't got to worry about losing his position at Clemson.
That's right.
Because there's nobody behind him. No 18-year-old going to take his position. But now let me go get Frank, who's been in college 3 years, want to come up from Richmond to play at Clemson. Oh, now I got to grind now. I got to pee or get off the pot. And that is what is hurting Clemson right now.
Let's talk about another team in the ACC real quick. My good buddy Scott Wilson's over there. He's a big Tar Heel fan, so he's probably going to cringe when I
play football.
That's what I was going to ask you. So another team.
That 1 year.
But powder blue uniform. You know what I'm saying is never lose.
There you go.
Lose
4 years.
Nobody wearing powder blue uniform. That's unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, Belichick comes in. This has all been documented. We've been watching this whole drama unfold throughout the year. When you watch Carolina play, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you think? Because it seems like they've got all these 5 stars and 4 stars and portal guys. What do you see when you watch? And I know that doesn't translate, but what do you see when you watch them play? What do you think is hurting them the most?
They don't have a brand of football. They hurt where it's supporting the most, the line of scrimmage. You got to win the line of scrimmage. Yeah, if it's 7-on-7, give me North Carolina. They got wide receivers. Their quarterback can get the ball, but they don't win the line of scrimmage. They don't win the way Belichick wants to win. Even when he had Tom Brady in the NFL, you look at that offensive line, defensive line they had, Ted Washington, Richard Seymour, Willie McGinnis. They won up front. They was a physical. That Super Bowl was probably the most physical game I ever played in before in my life. And I played against the Great Wall of Dallas. With them guys. But New England was physical, play in and play out. Belichick don't have his players. And people look at Belichick, well, he don't care. Belichick know this is not my team for the next 2 years. He's actually told recruits, don't get used to seeing these guys. They're probably not going to be your teammates. Now, let's give him a chance 1-2 years down the road where he's gotten his guys in, and now you're coaching. But right now, those guys are not capable of doing what he wants them to do. But, they got skill position, but if you can't protect your quarterback, you can't run the ball, you can't get out the passer, you don't stand a chance.
Buck, I don't know if you've been over to their camps. Dre Bly and all those guys, Kevin Donnelly and a lot of the guys, Jamar Nesbitt, his son played there as well. You can't come in to an organization and a program with an NFL mindset that guys don't know how to block and tackle yet, right? And where you learn how to block and tackle, you learn a little bit in high school, but you're not tackling and blocking the biggest guys. You're just physically out there dominating guys. And a lot of high school coaches don't really have the technique that you learn in college. When you get to college is really when you learn how to play the game. You learn how to watch film, you learn how to block, you learn how to tackle, because you're having to do it against the best, or at least the perceived best, right? If you're just having practices and your philosophy is we're going to protect our players, which I agree with, you should protect players, but at the same point, you have to put a boxer through the ice and the storms and lifting and running the stairs and getting on the beach and taking the body blows and all those things before you go out to the fight, right? And you can't just show up to the fight and not have trained your body to take all those blows. North Carolina's practices are as soft and as weak as any practice you're going to see, including NFL. They run it like an NFL practice. They have the concussion things on their helmets, which I there's a value to that, right? But you can't just baby your team and expect them to show up and be men on Saturday when you're treating them like boys on Monday through Friday.
I think what's noticeable when you watch North Carolina, they just don't have the talent that their opponent has. You go back to the very first game. I know they got off to a great start against TCU. TCU just had better players. Clemson's got better players. Tomorrow,
Georgia Tech doesn't.
I think Georgia Tech's got better players.
They have maybe one better player, but I mean, I'm not trying to discredit what you're saying. You're right, Mark. But I think my point is that you have to do more with less at schools that don't have better players. And Belichick is failing them right now.
But on the field, when they're out there performing, Georgia Tech's got better players than North Carolina.
And coach better.
I think the problem lies, and I got utmost respect for this guy, Mac Brown was not a good handler of the second time around. He came
the second time at
Carolina.
Second time
around, Mac Brown came. I played when Mac Brown was becoming Mac Brown.
James Madison just scored again, by the way.
When they was putting defense, Bunny Holiday and them were all going to the NFL and guys was going through. Mac Brown came back to sort of like, let me kind of save the program. He was like a grandfather figure. He didn't want to do the hard recruiting. He didn't want to do the hard coach. He couldn't. He should have been sitting in a rocking chair playing checkers. You know what I'm saying?
But you hire guys though, Buck. You hire guys, and if you're not going to go do those,
that's where he messed up. He didn't hire guys. And we had this talk. As a head coach, you're only as strong as your coordinators and position coaches. BA used to say, I want to hire guys who got a chance to be head coaches one day, because I know I'm going to get the best out of them. They're going to be the best of the best. They're fighting to get where I'm at. So if you just hiring ex-players who went there and they played for you, we're going to keep a job because we're not going to rock the boat. And now the players start to mirror your coach.
Right. And this is going to sound very misogynistic, I'm sure, to a lot of people out there.
That's a big word, Frank.
Yeah, I know. And I had to look it up before I used it. It's clearing my brain, but if your young girlfriend is out on, listen, if she's out on the field running the show, what is that message is sending to boys that you're trying to make men? And in a game that is full of violence, right? This is a violent game. I mean, this is not, touch. This is not soccer. This is not tennis. There's places for that. This is a game where violence. I'm trying to physically impose my will, make him tap out. And if somebody's out there that is leading that, right, and the guy that's supposed to be leading is following around like a puppy, right, there's going to be a problem.
Well, I am not going to take the energy out of
they do. They sure do.
That's a whole different conversation. But I'm not going to respect the puppy if he's not the alpha.
Let me ask you one more game, then I want to talk a little bit about the NBA, the Hornets, and this gambling scandal that unfolded yesterday. But one more game. You've got Texas A&M undefeated going into LSU. I think Brian Kelly might be coaching for his job in this game. He's not won many big games while he's been at LSU. Texas A&M, I think, is one of the most balanced teams in the country. They've got speed everywhere on offense, speed everywhere on defense. But you think first of all, who do you like in the game? Second of all, if Texas A&M wins this game, you think Brian Kelly's gone?
I think Brian Kelly's already gone. It's just a matter of waiting for time. To me, this is just my opinion. The opinion I'm about to share do not reflect those on this panel. I think Brian Kelly is the most overrated coach in college football. I think when schools like LSU, not only you got to be a good coach, you got to be a coach that the people can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
When he came down there and took that job and he went to his Cajun
Southern accent,
it was a wrap for him.
Yeah.
It was a wrap because they like, you're a phoney.
Yeah.
You're a phony. You don't belong.
When you sound like the water boy.
Yeah. And he's dancing with his tight ends.
And a lot of coaches, I think Kelly got intimidated by the talent at LSU. It's a different type of – if you ever been to New Orleans and Baton Rouge, it's a different type of talent.
Yeah.
It comes with a different mentality. That's why Orgeron and the Mad Hatter can do good there because they strive in those type of environments. Kelly was an outsider. And I think Texas A&M should win the game, but if they playing at LSU at night, it's a whole different breed.
Yeah.
Now you're playing against 95,000 screaming rages, but I think Texas
been drinking all day, getting ready for you.
And I think Kelly, the way he is now, I just think he's just holding on to the end of the year so they can show him the X. I think he's done there. And I saw it last year when they went and played the University of Florida, and I went down. I was in the swamp where I think they might have been a 14-point favorite. And I watched him implode on the sideline. I normally watch because I'm an ex-coach. I watch how players react when coaches get on them. And I've never seen so many players turn away and walk away from their coach and do this to him. Like, I ain't listening to you. You lost the respect of the locker room.
And that's why after A&M, you walk in there tomorrow night and you can jump them early. That crowd will turn on them because they're ready to run Brian Kelly out of town.
Well, but to your point, with Brian Kelly, this is the reason why Saban, I think, walked away from the game as well. Mm-hmm. Is that when you can't dangle the car keys in front of a guy and say, you're going to do what I say or else you don't get these keys, and I'm going to tell you how you're going to do it. If you don't do it, you're gone. These kids, there's a fine line between handling them with kid gloves and patting them on the back, but also being hard on them, to go out there and get done what needs to, the hard things that need to be done. Mm-hmm. And I think the Buck hit the word right on the head. If you don't respect your head coach, it's going to be hard to get them to do those hard things when I'm patting them on the back and kissing their asses all the time.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be able to crack the whip every now and then to get the guys doing what you need to do. And sometimes it's what you're saying, not how you're saying it. And a lot of coaches don't have that balance. It's just, it comes out. And they're going to dog cuss you. They're going to browbeat you. And if you don't respect that guy, it's going to come across as I'm going to shut you off because you're not communicating.
Bear Bryant had a saying that was on his office at Alabama. Coach him hard, hug him later.
That's right.
Yeah.
That means I got that in the NFL.
Yep.
Bruce Arians he treated Larry Fitzgerald like Larry Fitzgerald was a walk-on wide receiver at a D3 school. On the practice field. But when they got in the cafeteria, how you doing? How your son doing? How your dad doing? And Larry got to respect that. Oh, he's trying to get the best out of me. He's not going to be afraid to get on me. He's going to stand by. But when we walk in this cafeteria, I'm Larry to him now. And the BAs just tell him all the time, I'm talking about your football. If I'm afraid to coach your football, then what am I doing?
Yeah.
Guys are trying to be friends. They don't want to coach the football, so they start to let stuff slide.
That's right.
Well, I'm not going to coach Buck on his technique, because Buck might not like me.
Yeah.
I don't care if you like me or not.
That's
My
right.
job is to get you to be a better football player, but I still can respect you as a man. That's where the hug them later come in.
Yep.
Say, hey, man, that's just football. But off this field, I care about your family. I want to know how your kids doing. But I'm going to coach the hell out of your football. And Brian Kelly didn't do it because, you know why? He went in there and he went authentic to who he was. He went in there as a character. If you go in there as a character, sooner or later you're going to keep on playing this role where that character don't fit in there. And LSU is a different breed.
Yeah.
You in Baton Rouge, one of the murder capitals of I'll let you finish the rest of it. But you're gonna go in there with a bunch of players that are animals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Their mindset are different. Some of them guys, they're only eating or in the house because of that brown football that they're chasing who got it. And you got to go in there and you got to meet masculinity with masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go in there as a clown, guess what? Every time I show up, I'm looking for the circle.
And Buck, that's what's impressive about, go back to Kurt Signetti. He came into Indiana. He didn't become this brash dude. That's who he was at James Madison.
Yes.
So he just walked into Bloomington and said, "This is who I am. You either like it or you don't, but Google me. I can coach."
You know, before James Madison, you know where he was at? Elon.
Yeah.
He was the head coach. He's won everywhere he's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's won everywhere he's gone, everywhere he's been, because he doesn't change who he is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And players will pick that out faster than anything. If you're phony, if you're fake, right? If you're phony and you're fake, there's no hiding.
Yeah.
Right. You can't go into the Southern accent and give a Southern accent if that's not who you are.
Yeah.
You have to be who you. And you know what? Eventually, it's the hug them. It's the be hard on them and then hug them mentality. Players respond to those things.
Yes.
Right. They respond to those things because I know that if crap hits the fan, you're going to be on my back.
Yeah.
You're going to have my back.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what.
The greatest thing, and I use this all the time, I think the reason why John Fox was so successful early here, that first meeting when he came in and he looked us all in the face was like, those coaches that was just left here, they got world championship rings on their finger. They didn't play not one snap. Some of y'all are in here soft. My job is to find out who is the soft players. Let me get rid of them, and the ones that stay, we're going to be winners.
Mm-hmm.
So it made you look in the mirror. Is he talking about me?
Yeah.
Whatever. And you went out there, you practiced harder, you met harder, you got in better shape.
But he also found guys that was going to back him.
Yes.
One of the best documentaries on air right now is the Netflix with the Dallas Cowboys and the way that they were built when they lost Tom Landry and Barry Switzer came. Not Barry Switzer. When Jimmy Johnson came in, he changed the culture.
Yes.
And guess who he took on his side and got with him? He got Michael Irvin because he knew Michael Irvin was one of his dogs.
Yeah.
And he knew that Michael Irvin wanted to win. And Michael Irvin had the ear of the locker room. So when he was going to be hard on him, he wasn't just hard on he was hard on Michael Irvin. But when Michael Irvin went through his stuff, who was out there working harder than anybody else? Michael Irvin. He knew who his guys were, and he leaned on those guys to send that message. But it was no Barry Switzer, right? When you came in there, and that lost the culture.
Yeah.
It's what they haven't won a playoff game in 20, 30 years.
Let's switch gears a little bit to the NBA, and we talked a minute ago about this gambling scandal that unfolded yesterday. I was at the Hornet game Wednesday night, their opening game of the year. I tell you what, just on the Hornets, if they stay healthy, which is a huge if, but if they stay healthy, they're going to be one of the most entertaining teams to watch this year. I don't know what that'll translate into as far as wins and losses, but man, what a fun team. 3 rookies playing. Kalbrenner, the second-round pick with the double-double, first double-double for a rookie in team history. 9 players in double digits. Knipple played well. Brandon Miller coming back healthy was unbelievable. But this illegal gambling scandal that unfolded with Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, who was
they're 2 different things now.
2 different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One has to do
Billups,
with
Dante Jones was illegal poker games with the mafia. When you hear that word,
crazy.
when you hear Cosa Nostra, that ain't a singer. That ain't a singer. That's the mafia.
Chauncey was just the beard,
and they was losing $7 million a night.
But Chauncey was going to all his buddies, all the guys, and saying, "Hey, listen, we got a great game over here." That's what Chauncey was being used for.
They were using these poker games. The mafia was using these ex-players so they could go to normal people and go, "Hey man, you can be playing this poker game with Chauncey Billups."
No. They weren't going to normal people. They were going to
athletes.
They were going to people that had the bucks,
billionaires,
the big names. That Chauncey knew, and they used him to entice and lure those players in. He was the beard. He was the beard behind the game. So they used him to go out there and bring these players in to sit around the table with the $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 buy-ins.
I think this is just going to open up a huge can of worms in sports now. When you guys were at Clemson and Washington, 18 years old, both of you didn't come from a bunch of money and things like that. If there were FanDuel and DraftKings and all these apps that are out there now, imagine how hard it would have to be. And the positions you guys played, maybe you couldn't affect these as much. But imagine if you were a shooting guard or a quarterback. Imagine how hard it would be if your roommate's sitting there going, "Hey man, miss a few free throws tonight, I'm going to take under this, or get out of the game early like Terry Rozier.
For me, it's the integrity.
No doubt.
It's just integrity, and I don't know how Frank feel about. I'm pretty much feel the same. When you play sports, the only thing you got to, I think one of Frank prized possessions, I'm not speaking here, his national championship at Washington.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not finna. I wouldn't trade that for nothing. I don't care. That is priceless. You have reunions after reunions. You're talked about, and for guys to go out there and to throw that away for bucks, knowing that it can come back in. And that was a history of the game. I remember the Black Sox scandals with Shoeless Joes.
Yep.
Them Joes got banned. Pete Rose and those guys. I'm not doing that because, especially today's. Everybody think everything is a conspiracy anyway. Well, you got Larry Johnson Jr. out there who's a great running back. Well, the game is scripted anyway. They know who's going to win.
Yeah.
And for people like me and Frank who give their bodies away, that limp, can't sleep at night, for somebody to come up to me and say, hey, man, that game, you threw that game. Why would I throw a damn game that pays my life? I got a chance to win a championship. You think I'm going to throw a Super Bowl game and your name go down in the history? But I don't know if Frank remember this, and it really scares me because now you see everything come. When I first got in the NFL, it wasn't no injury report during the week. You didn't find out who wasn't playing until 10 minutes before the game.
Yeah.
So I can look on there and be like, oh, they started senders out. Hey, man, we can run these games.
Yeah, fantasy football didn't exist.
It didn't exist. You didn't have all week. He's questionable. He's out. Yeah. You found out who was inactive in that locker room 15 minutes before you came out the locker room.
Buck, you're hitting it right on the head. And, you told me this, about the game. And I think, we were doing our show, The Big Nasties, back then. And, it was about when all these hits, James Harrison started getting fined, for hitting guys, right? And he would go get fined $200,000, $300,000. And then the same jersey and the same picture that was used in that hit was being sold by the NFL to make money and benefit
their games and whatever.
They poured out
videos, crunch time video.
It was you got knocked out, you got jacked up, right? We had videos of these things that they were finding us as players to go out there and take advantage of and make money with and exploit us as players. The same thing is going to happen with the NFL and money. The reason in Vegas, the reason why they don't care about all those things is because they're making millions of dollars through FanDuel, through Vegas, through all of these sites that are out there, the fantasy football, DraftKings,
Bet, all of them.
They're making billions of dollars because of those. If they have to use a player to sacrifice him to say he's cheating or he's doing that, then so be it. But they don't care about those types of things. And those things are going to continue to exist as long as there's billions of dollars, because money, the love of money is the root of all evil.
I don't remember who I heard say this last night, but people were going, and why are these guys like Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, who are making millions and millions and have millions of dollars? Why would they even risk it? And this one athlete, and I forget who it was, said, I'm not making excuses for them because they shouldn't do it, and you guys can relate to this, and you and I've talked about this. When a player is done with his career, and that's your identity, running out of the tunnel in front of 65,000. You're a football player. You go into restaurants, people treat you differently. You get this for free, that for free. And then you're done playing and you're only 30, 32 years old. And whether you have a bunch of money in the bank or not, they said that a lot of these guys, it wasn't about the money. It was about the adrenaline and the drive. And Frank, you play poker quite a bit.
Ask Jordan. Ask Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Ask Charles Barkley.
Yep.
Ask these guys that lose that competitiveness with what they did at the highest level, running out of Buck. There's nothing in the world that we do. I mean, you still coach, and you're going to get a little bit of those butterflies and that anxiety. But when your name is called, running out of a tunnel in a hostile environment on the road, and everybody, you got 75,000 booing you, it gives me goosebumps now. You want to go out there, and it just like, let's go. You turn into an animal where if I die, I die. But I'm leaving it out here for these guys next to me, and we're going to go out there and we're going to fight our asses off.
Does this change the way people look at the NBA, though, now? You think?
Yes, people going to look at it now. Oh, so-and-so had a bad night. I wonder.
What's already been there, bro? That's already been there. I mean,
the perception now is even worse.
As a Suns fan, it's just going to vindicate my feeling of the Lakers. We could never beat them because it's a big market and the game is fixed. The game is fixed for Magic and for Kobe and for Shaq and these guys.
Discredit a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, and difference. You're gonna look at, is that really that championship really count?
Yeah.
How do they upset that team and win?
And that was the one thing that used to bother David Stern more than anything else was the integrity.
Yeah.
When people question the integrity of the league, that's when he would get
Then he should have changed the draft. Because that's the biggest factor.
Yeah, Cooper Flag going number one to Dallas
Dillon,
Mavericks after they trade.
That's a great example.
There's no way that wasn't fishy.
I mean, I don't know if any of these guys cared as much. If they did, they would have changed the draft.
The one thing I think the NFL get right, the worst team needs the first number one pick in the draft.
Yep.
There shouldn't be no lottery.
That's right.
But now I'm gonna make sure the big market team get a superstar player.
They're worried about the tanking and stuff.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're worried about their numbers. They're worried about their numbers and being able to finagle who goes where, like Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
But you're right, Buck. Anytime now somebody gets hurt, the first thing going to pop in your mind is that legit? Is he really hurt? Or,
No, when you start thinking about now, he resting tonight?
Yeah.
So LeBron comes down here.
Take the under.
The Lakers play, so he resting tonight. Why is he resting?
Right.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? So it's going to make you question everything.
Well, Nico, our buddy and our sponsor at Neogenics just brought up a good point that it sounds like the way that they can fix this as best as you can is that they're going to have to eliminate player props. So you're not you no longer can bet on so and so to score this many points or have a touchdown or whatever, and that would help fix a lot of this stuff because then you're only betting on the team and the team totals and things like that.
I think that's definitely going to happen in college.
College
that's going to go away at some point.
No question.
When you jump in the lake full of piranhas, it's too late not to get bit.
Yeah,
they in there now.
Yeah.
They making too much money. Frank just alluded to it. Money is the root of all evil. They're making so much money. You're in bed with these guys. When I first came to the league, you couldn't even look at a casino.
Yeah.
We were told, we had meetings daily. Yes. Don't talk to anybody. If they do, you come tell us. Don't be seen in casinos.
Yeah. Don't. I used to go to Vegas as an early player, and I was just like, I don't enjoy it.
I can't go to stadiums.
I can't go. Now, when I was in Arizona, my last year in Arizona, they was betting up there. So, and our thing as coaches was like, you're putting the players in harm's way. What if a guy's worked all week and he went in there and bet that $2,000 that Kyler Murray gonna throw for 200 yards? And Kyler Murray has one of his worst days. What's stopping that player from waiting outside the parking lot when Kyler gets in the car? Yeah. You stupid! You cost me my money.
Yeah.
Now it's so much unseen stuff.
Yep.
There's so much dangerous. Like these guys are getting. They mess up in the game, and you go to social media. I hate your family. I wish you died and stuff. You creating a whole because me. I think all us up here fathers.
Yep.
You threaten me or my family, it's gonna be you more than me. Now you put me in a defense mode. I'm gonna defend my family. I don't care if you're a fan or not.
Yep.
I don't know if you are joking with me. I don't take threats as jokes.
Yep.
Not in today's world. So it's they open up Pandora's box, and now I don't think they can close.
And it's funny. Mark and I were talking about this before the show. I've seen this at games. I've been with one of my sons, Connor, who likes to bet player props quite a bit. I've heard him do it. And Mark made a comment about he was at a Carolina basketball game.
Armando Baycott was getting yelled at by like a row of college age
I need
kids.
2 more rebounds. Come on, I need 2 more rebounds.
I need 1 more assist.
Yeah, and I've heard
he's looking at him like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so I think the player props thing, and if I'm not mistaken, in Vegas you can't bet player props because I think I tried to when I was there last time, but I think that's going to get wiped away, and I think that'll help at least from that standpoint.
The solution, I don't know what, like Buck said, is that Pandora's box has been opened. And we can sit here and talk about, the different solutions or potential of solutions are going to be, and one might be for these player props and things like that.
Yeah.
That if you're going to start the game, you have to finish just like they do in baseball. If you don't complete your 4 innings or whatever it is as a pitcher, that game is going to be null and void. If you don't complete, 3/4 of this game, you're going to be null and void in these player props. Vegas will just wipe the books and be done with it. That's the way they could handle that. But other than those things, with the little maybe, answers to do those things, how are you still going to be able to stop this from happening with live betting, right? Because live betting is an issue that you're still having. It's just going to be another issue. They're going to find another way to make money, but the money's not going away.
Let's go through, because we've only got a few minutes left. Let's go through some picks for college football real quick. But I did want to touch on the gambling stuff because it's a huge story, and I think it's only going to get bigger. Frank right now is beating me by a game. He's 47-39. I'm 46-40. We tied last week. We won't do our 2 picks this week, but we'll all make our picks on these games. First game, Ole Miss at Oklahoma. We talked about it earlier. Oklahoma is -5.5. Buck, what you got?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. All right. Yarbrough, who you got?
Give me the Sooners at home.
I'm kind of torn there as well. So Buck, Ole Miss, Yarbrough, Oklahoma. Frank, who you got?
I'm going first this time. You're going first next time. Yeah,
All right.
I know how DJ's mind thinks. I'm gonna side with Buck on this one. I think Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, I think they get it done. They're gonna throw the ball all over the place and make some noise.
I'm gonna take Ole Miss as well. I mean, I think Oklahoma, their defense is definitely better, but I do
Should I
think
make a wolf sound since I'm the lone wolf here?
yeah, and I do think that what you said about Lane Kiffin, getting in their head a little bit about the play calling stuff, and I'm not sure they win the game, but I think 5.5 points is too much. We just saw Ole Miss go on the road and almost pull out a victory at Georgia, which is, in my opinion, a much better team than Oklahoma. So I'm going Ole Miss as well. Second game, Missouri at Vandy. We talked about this game earlier as well. Vandy is -2.5. I go first on this one?
Yeah, you go first on this one.
All right, this is easy. This is my favorite game of the week. I'm taking Vandy. Buck, who you got?
I'm going to Show Me State. I'm going with Missouri.
Okay.
I like their defense.
Okay.
Yeah, give me Diego Pavi at home. I just think he's rolling right now. So.
Yeah, Buck's going to be the lone wolf on this one. I'm taking Vanderbilt as well.
All right. Texas A&M and LSU, another game we talked about. Brian Kelly most likely coaching for his job. Texas A&M undefeated, -2.5.
At LSU.
It's in LSU.
At Baton Rouge on the night game.
Yep.
Give me Texas A&M. I tell you what, I love their quarterback. He can silence the crowd very quickly with his legs and his athleticism. They've always played defense, and offensively, I think is where they've really improved this year. LSU has been tested to some degree, but I don't think they've been tested to this degree. I think Texas A&M is probably the second or third best team in the country.
Buck, who you got?
I'm taking Texas A&M. I think those players at LSU have walked on that campus all week long, and people talking about how bad the coach is, and they're really we don't like them. And soon as something go wrong, the energy in that stadium going to go down. I think Texas A&M wins.
Brian Kelly in big games, not to mention, is not very good. He's not James Franklin-esque, but he's pretty close.
Who you got, Yarbs?
It's hard to go against LSU at night at home. I just think Texas A&M's better.
Yep, I agree with you.
Give me the Aggies.
UCLA at Indiana. We've been talking about Signetti. Indiana, I've been a believer in that guy last year and this year, and I think they're just getting better. I think their quarterback's probably the first pick in the draft. If not the first quarterback, he'll be the second one. Indiana's laying 25.5. UCLA, since they got rid of your old teammate Deshaun Foster, has turned over a new leaf. They're undefeated since then. They're scoring points, but Indiana's laying 25.5. Buck, what you got?
I'm taking Indiana. I think, didn't UCLA quarterback get hurt?
He's banged up. I'm not sure.
He got banged up. He got carried off. I just like Indiana. I'm a fan of the coach.
I am too.
I just like the way he played, and Indiana up there is getting a little nippy.
Yeah.
UCLA got to make that flight from the West Coast. Give me Indiana.
All right. Yarbs, who you got?
Yeah, it's been a nice little story. Rick Neuheisel's son took over the play call in there when they fired Deshaun Foster. They've won some games. They played better football, but man, they're walking into a hornet's nest against the Hoosiers. Give me Indiana.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think UCLA has been a nice story while they've been on the West Coast. Now they're coming to Indiana. Like Buck said, it's going to be cold. When Illinois rolled into Indiana a few weeks ago as a ranked team, Indiana blew the doors off of them. And I think Illinois is a lot better team than UCLA. I do think 25.5 is a lot, but I'm going Indiana.
I know we're sitting here at Mother's, but I'm not. I don't see Vanna White anywhere to buy a vowel because there's no way in hell I'm going to pronounce this quarterback's name correctly from UCLA.
Nico.
We'll just call him Nico. Yeah. I think that he's a heck of a football player. I think he went through some struggles, and if he plays, I think that UCLA covers the 25.5 because I do think that Neuheisel has done a good job. Yeah. I do think they have some Frisbee catching dogs, and I do think that they're going to be able to score. I know Indiana's hot. Signetti, I like him as a coach. DJ sold him on me. He was the first to be on him, and he's 100% right. This guy needs to be Googled, but give me UCLA -25.5.
All right, let's jump to the NFL. Some good matchups this week. The Giants go to Philly. Philly's laying 7.5. The Giants beat the doors off Philly a couple weeks ago. Should have beat Denver last week if their kicker could make extra points, and he couldn't. So they lost one of the most epic comebacks. I think 32 points in the fourth quarter. They gave up maybe 33. Philly looked to get back on track last week offensively. Hurts had a great game. Devontae Smith had a great game. A.J. Brown may not play, so that could be something to keep an eye on. Philly laying 7.5 at home against the Giants. Who you got, Buck?
I think Denver beats the Giants 2 weeks in a row. They don't get over a loss like that.
Yeah.
I'm going with Philly.
Okay. Yarbrough, who you got?
Terrible job by the scheduling people, by the way. The second time in 3 weeks.
Well, the
Eagles and
Panthers do
Giants.
that with the Bucks at the end of the year, too. I don't get it.
I hate that. I don't know how
agree with
you feel about his players, but as a fan, I can't stand it. But, yeah, I think the Eagles get this one. I agree with I think that Giants loss to Denver is going to cost them twice. I still don't know what's going on with Saquon Barkley and the Eagles offense, but I'll take them Sunday.
Frank, who you got?
Big brother versus little brother. And sometimes little brother just doesn't match up. But in this case, I think little brother has a short memory. Jackson Dart, I think, has been a game changer. Scatterboo is a guy that can run the ball on the road. Philadelphia is struggling right now. They're finding not having A.J. Brown is going to hurt. I think they have a short-term memory, and I think I don't think they win the game, but I think they 3-point game, something like that.
New York Giants.
I'm taking the Giants.
We used to have a handicap.
Which is probably the worst thing I could do.
Well, we used to have a handicap on FNZ back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember Greg Roberts.
Yeah.
And he used to have his big double revenge game or whatever revenge game. And I was at, like I said, the Giants game when they beat Philly a couple weeks ago. And Jalen Hurts missed Devontae Smith on a wide open bomb. He couldn't throw the ball that day. Last week he seemed to get back on track. I agree with you. I think the hangover of that game, is gonna stick with him again this week. I hate that hook on that 7.5. I feel much better if it was 6.5. I think it's a perfect game to put into a teaser. But I'm gonna take Philly. 49ers at Houston. 49ers just keep winning. Mac Jones has looked great. He's making himself a lot of money right now. They've had tons of injuries on the defensive side with Warner, Bosa, yet they still continue to play great defense. The Texans are really
Did you say
struggling.
Bofa?
Bosa. I don't think I said, but maybe that whiskey's getting to me.
Bofa what?
Bosa. But, Houston's offense has been atrocious.
Yes.
C.J. Stroud has not been the same guy the last season and a half. And like I said, 49ers just keep on rolling. Houston is laying 2.5 at home. Buck, who you got?
I'm taking the 49ers. When your 26-year-old quarterback is talking about he feeling old and you rebuilt the offensive line in front of him, he's still getting sacked more than he did last year.
Yep.
That's a recipe for disaster. Now, I think 49ers just going to out-physical them defenses-wise against their offense. So give me the 49ers.
All right, y'all, bro.
Yeah, Houston's beat up offensively. No Christian Kirk, no Nico Collins.
Yep.
The 49ers, you saw what they did to the Falcons Sunday night running the football. I think that continues Sunday. Yeah, give me San Fran.
All right, I'm going with you with San Fran. I think getting 2.5 points is a steal in this game. I think San Fran, a team that was kind of under the radar at the beginning of the year, seems to be finding their stride right now. And I think Houston's lost right now, so I'm taking San Fran.
Yeah, Houston is not one of those places you go to where you're intimidated walking in because the crowd is going to be hostile and ramped up. If anything, they might be cheering for you to make some changes and get some more draft choices. So Matt Jones is the same player as Brock Purdy, maybe even an upgrade because of the college and who he was played underneath with Nick Saban in Alabama. They're the same quarterback. Chris McCaffrey's the difference maker in this game. They may slow him down, but eventually San Fran has too much firepower.
Here's a game that Buck played for this team. Frank is a fan of this team. Yarbrough's a fan of the other team. Green Bay at Pittsburgh, the Aaron Rodgers revenge game, to bring that word back into it again. Green Bay's laying 2.5 at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a team that's been hard to kind of figure out. Their defense was awful at the beginning of the year. Then they seem like they figured it out. It just, they do get Austin back at receiver this week for Pittsburgh, which I think is a big addition. I know him and Aaron Rodgers had some good chemistry before he went out. Green Bay laying 2.5. Who you got, Buck?
This is going to hurt me. I'm taking Green Bay. I don't think they can block those outside. Gary and Parsons are going to kill those offensive tackles from Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And we know what Aaron Rodgers is now. He's not the escape artist he used to be.
Yep.
And I just think right now the defense, it's going to be a defensive struggle. And give me the Green Bay defense over the Steelers defense.
Yeah, bro.
Aaron has said all the right things, but I don't buy it. This is a revenge game.
Yep.
I mean, he's still, in the back of his mind, pissed off about them selecting Jordan Love in the draft.
Yep.
I'm against Buck as far as I think there's going to be a lot of points. I think it's going to be a shootout, actually. Take the over, and I'll take the Packers. I think they have the ball last. They probably win. Pittsburgh's defense has really struggled.
Yep. Frank?
Well, there's one other place where they do this to their sandwiches. And they put them all over the place. and then they might take a little bit of this and add some of that. And that's the Pomani brothers in Steeltown.
And don't ask her to not put slaw on it. She'll throw you out.
You better give me some of that too. Give me it all. I'm taking the Steelers. I understand T.J. Watt has to be a difference maker for them. He seems to be a little nicked up right now, but against the Green Bay Packers, I think that's where he stands the test time. Their running game right now is as good as anybody's in the NFL. Their interior three, if you run the ball, you don't have to pass block those guys off the edge. Give me the Steelers -2.5.
Green Bay hasn't looked as good as I thought they would be at this point in the season, but and Josh Jacobs is banged up a little bit. He's going to play, but last week he didn't seem right with his calf muscle ailing him. But I agree. I think Green Bay is going to go in there and do enough to win a game, and I do think it'll be tight. But only laying 2.5, I'll take that in a field goal game. And last but not least, we talked about this game a lot at the beginning of the show. Buffalo Bills coming to Carolina, biggest game at that stadium for the Panthers in years and years. They finally get above 500. They finally win a road game, and all they get for their present is Buffalo Bills coming in here with the reigning MVP, coming off 2 losses. But like I said earlier, Josh Allen's undefeated off of a bye week. Buffalo laying 7.5 at Carolina. Who you got, Buck?
I like Carolina. I think Carolina is young enough. I think winning tastes good to them. And I think they're going to be offended with all the Buffalo jerseys that they're seeing, because when you're young and you're trying to establish something, I think they're undefeated at home. Right into that stadium, that's going to give you a little motivation. And I think this is the big win that's going to push Carolina over the top. So I'm going to Carolina Panthers.
Yarbs, who you got?
Yeah, this is stepping up in class a little bit from last week for the Panthers. They ain't playing the Jets, Sonny. They're playing the Bills. As you said, coming off that loss in Atlanta, they've had 2 weeks to stew about. I actually think the Panthers are in the game. I don't think they get blown out, but I think Buffalo finds a way to win.
Frank, what you got?
Well, I know the theme song for the Panthers, stand and cheer for the Panthers, but in Buffalo, they stand up on top. And I would, if I was a little bit younger, I'd stand up on top of here and jump through this table because I think that's what's going to happen. The tables are going to come crashing down on the Panthers, and it's going to be a 14-21 point game. As much as I'd love the Panthers to be close in this game, Buffalo, Josh Allen's way too much.
You know, I think the last 2 weeks I've taken the Panthers, and I've hit both of them on this little win streak. Was nervous last week against the Jets for sure. I thought that would be a little
dicey.
It was dicey. But again, I think Carolina is a different team right now. I think that they're going to play Buffalo tough. I don't know if they win the game or not, but I do think getting a touchdown and 7.5 points at home, I do think they keep it close with the running game. I do think Andy Dalton's going to play. Bryce is at practice again today, but not doing a whole lot. So I think just to be safe, they're going to keep him out. They got at Green Bay next week.
Which is harder? The Panthers winning or keeping this food from touching our mouths?
That's what I'm in the show.
I'm used to radio when we get to the commercial.
Can we get a break?
Well, that's why I'm trying to end this show now. So you guys, I see all your mouth watering. But I'm going to go. I'm going to take Carolina getting the 7.5 points. And we'll see how we do, and hopefully the Panthers bring it, and it's at least a good game. And if they can win, if they got to win one of these next 2 between Buffalo and Green Bay if they want to stay in that playoff hunt. They're second place in the NFC South. But guys, thank you for joining us. It's been fun. Yarbrough, I get to see you doing the show quite a bit when Frank's on his golf tour. Frank's good to have you back. Buck, always great having you on. And we could still talk another 2 hours about a bunch. And we'll do this again, here in the next month or so. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, mothers, for having us. The food. I know these boys are ready to jump in. Thank you to Big D for getting here and setting up everything and doing the great job he always does. And our buddies Scott and Chad and Nico and everybody that came by to see it. Now it's time to eat some food, have a couple cocktails, have a good weekend, watch the football. We'll see you Monday.